Hi there and welcome back to my Tekkit world, and first thing to note, this is now upgraded to the latest development version of Tekkit, which has allowed me to use the later computercraft features such as the attack turtle, which is behind me. And the point of that attack turtle is that here at this zombie farm, I've got a zombie stuck up there somehow. How's that zombie managed to get stuck? That's annoying. Okay, yeah, this zombie farm, previously I'd have to sit here and periodically kill the zombies myself. Now, with the benefit of this attack turtle, if those zombies ever get a move on and turn up down here, what happens is the turtle takes care of the killing for me, and I can just stand here and absorb the XP. And what you'll notice is a little program that I've set running on here, which keeps track of how many items, things it's killed, whatever they are, and number of things that it's stored as a result of killing them, which it then transfers to the chest below. So you'll see when it killed that zombie, it then scans the slots and transfers everything it's picked up from that killing into the chest. And in this case, I've used a condenser, and it's busy transferring things into diamonds, and this diamond here is the first one which I've achieved by allowing this turtle to kill zombies on its own. You can see I'm currently at level 38 as well. So that's a nice little thing. The program for that is very simple. If I just bring that up there, it keeps track of the two variables, number of things killed, number of drops, clears the terminal, puts the message out, selects slot 1 on the turtle, and then in an infinite loop with the while true, it will print on the screen how many things it's killed, how many things it's stored. If it sees, if it tries to attack something and it succeeds, then it adds a 1 to the kill things and it picks things up, and then it scans the slots and selects each slot in turn, and if the item count in that slot is greater than 0, it keeps track of how many things there were and then tries to drop them into the chest, and if it fails it will write something out, and otherwise if it succeeds in dropping them into the chest, it adds that to the list of things it's managed to drop, and that's it. It's a very simple loop. Oh, and it waits at the end for 0.2 of a second just so it's not overdoing the attacking all the time. So that's it. If I start that off again, it will quickly kill the zombies that are in there, pausing in between each one a few seconds and sending the XP floating towards me. So it's busy doing the catch-up. Quite a few zombies in transit at the moment. Still wondering why that one's got stuck. That's very annoying. Yep, so it's mopped up the zombies and it's transferred another load of rotten flesh to the condenser, and that's it. So for now I'm going to turn off that zombie spawner. I've got a lever there which turns the lights on, just so that I can turn it on and off on demand, and I'll leave this attack turtle here to mop up the last of the zombies once they've made their way around, to keep everything quiet. So, catch up on things. This area around here, done a little bit more tidying up in my mind. I don't seem to ever be satisfied with this. I've moved the IO box down to this level now. I thought it might work out neater. Still not perfect. If only the ribbon cable could connect to this from above or below, or if that didn't take up a full block, preventing the cover blocks and things surrounding it, I'd be happier. I have had a thought that maybe if I move the IO condenser to somewhere over here and connect it to the ribbon cable, I might be able to come up with a different arrangement which I'll finally be happy with. The wireless receivers for the various inputs to open and close the doors are now all located over here. Can't remember if I'd arranged them that way before the previous video. What else is there? Lag, yes. This world is now performing not too bad. Done various things, so I'm currently getting 25 frames a second here. If I zoom down to this end of the world, which is generally where things are performing the best, while I'm not recording and while it's not reloading bits of the world, it can get as high as 40 and 50 frames a second, which is perfectly acceptable to play with. When I head back down this way, there is still a small area around here-ish where the frame rate will sometimes drop down to 10, 15, something horrible like that, but it's generally playable. And what I've done to get to that is, as I think I've mentioned before, I've switched to the lower resolution of the texture pack and tweaked various settings in the video settings. In particular, I've had to turn off the terrain animation, the textures animation, and also I think in there I've set the advanced OpenGL to fast rather than fancy, which all of those things combined seem to have made things usable again. Yeah, still not completely happy with it, but it'll have to do. I spoke in an earlier video about the programs here for the turtles to update their location. So if I start that one off, so it's now red with the wireless modem running, it should, if this computer was running, update its status as to where it is on here. And since the last video, you'll see I've added, first of all, an item saying which the next turtle is to be polled, which was a simple addition, but also the status. So the idea of the status message is that if when the turtle is polled, it responds, the status is okay, meaning this computer is managed to stay in contact with the turtle. If it polls that turtle and it doesn't get a response, so if I terminate the program running on there, the next time turtle 3 is polled, it should change the status back to question mark. So that is now the last known position for the turtle, but it doesn't now know what the status of the turtle is because it didn't respond to anything when asked for. So I'll just shut that turtle down so it's not running. The data structure that I used to get to that point is also slightly different now. So in the program here, the data structure was previously a table with tuplets in. The table now is initially populated as empty, and then it has a for next loop for however many turtles is defined here as being the number of turtles to poll, populating that table with the values it needs to be. So the data structure now is defined by name rather than index. So the tables can be of this form, where you've got an item followed by an item followed by an item, and you can then refer to those by, let's say that was a table called M, then M item 1 would be that first one, let's make these 2 and 3 so it's more obvious, would be 1, and M item 2 would be 2, etc, etc. However, you can also have it defined as M as a table where X equals, let's say 1, and Y equals 2, and Z equals 10, whatever it is, and then you can refer to them as m.x equals blah rather than index. This makes the code much more readable when you come to program it and also debug it later, because you don't have to remember which index in a table corresponded to which value. So in here now you can see that the table, T standing for table as the first item in the variable names, T turtle lock is the name of the table, and the index is now by string as well. So instead of referring to it as M1 as the index, it would actually be M1 for the first turtle, and the reason for that is the values that are passed back by some of the other routines for ID, computer ID and turtle ID and things are strings, and once the table is defined to use strings rather than numbers, it's a lot easier and shorter programming wise to keep it as strings afterwards. So then the values within the table, so the curly bracket there begins the definition of the table, are then defined by name. So X equals double question mark initially, Y is double question mark, Z is double question mark, and I've added the status as another field to the items in the table. So each turtle stores its X, Y, Z and last known status all in the table now. So the programming around that then needed to change, obviously, to deal with that, but it's basically the same program as before. If anybody is interested and wants to get into working with turtles, then let me know. I'd be happy to share any code and things that I'm working on. I have now started following somebody on YouTube on the Minecraft server who is doing a lot of things with turtles, which has opened up all sorts of possibilities, one of which I will move on to next. So I'd set myself the objective, after completing this large opening secret base door, to do a giant lift down 16 floors here, and I've now posted Tekkit tips series explaining how that lift can work. And in the meantime, I have now created a program and a lift which is here. So this is now my working lift system in this world. And just as a thing to actually make it useful, I've attached a chest to a panel in this case, so that the chest moves with the platform. And that means that you could be down on the ground floor, you could put things in the chest and send it up to the top, and it effectively boosts your inventory space to carry up and down all the flights in the lift. So let's show this descending. So if I set that off descending, it stops at, oops, one too many, back up one. There we go. So it stops at this floor, which is the main base area, as you'll have seen if you've seen any of the previous videos. If I go down another floor, it brings us out onto this floor, which is the main factory floor. This doesn't work very well. Yeah, I should have been more careful about where I started with this lift shaft, but I've created it now, so I've got to make it work. So it's just too close to this main area, so I've had to eat away into it. And then because the doorway on that side has to be on that side of the lift, it determines which side the door has to be all the way down the lift shaft. Yeah, so the sensible way to open out on this floor would have been on this side, but I can't do that on that side. Although, having said that, I've just had a thought. Yeah, I can make the lift car not have walls and then just rely on walls in the lift shaft with the door opening on different sides. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, cool idea. And thanks for that. Thanks for suggesting that, whoever it was. Anyway, down to the next floor. Here we go. So this floor then opens out with all the lighting below the main factory floor, etc., all the way down to the basement. Now let's see if I can race the lift down to the basement. Not down there, he's going to beat me. Which is going to be quicker, the lift or the ladder? I think the lift is just going to win because I keep crashing into it. No, there we go. And then once I'm below it, whee, down we go, down to the basement. And slimes again. These always show up around here. I think I'm going to have to start using half slabs down on this level and the one above to stop the slime spawning annoyingly. But yeah, this is the lift mechanism down in the basement. Lift still not made it down. This is how slow the lift actually is in practice and how impractical it is. So yeah, just like in the Tekkit tip series, we've got a block breaker at the bottom, a frame motor which pushes things down, and a block deployer which will create that, more slimes, will create the pillar as needed for the lift to ascend, and then the frame motor there with the arrow pointing up to push things up as necessary, and then just timer circuits connected to a toggle switch connected to the wireless remotes. So 115 is the timer to go down, so when this one's on, it is pulsing the frame motor to push things down and the block destroyer. It also pulses the deployer. I could replace that redstone pneumatic tube with a normal pneumatic tube to prevent that, but I did find it useful when debugging this build in case it ever runs out of frame blocks and this ends up pushed up one too high. Then you can still get a new one deployed in order for this motor to begin to drag it down again. So at the moment I've left that in there. It does pulse the deployer pointlessly most of the time, but since the deployer can't do anything, it doesn't matter. So yeah, that will do for now. And similarly on this side, we've got the ascent signal, which pulses the frame motor and also the block deployer via this red cable. So when that one's going, it raises up with this motor spinning and the block deployer replacing the frame blocks in the square below it. And I'm probably going to get another... No, can't get down. Yep, so I'll stop that there, whichever floor that's managed to get to, and just kill this other slime. There we go, get rid of these things. It's such an annoying noise, even if nothing else. But anyway, there we go. Oh, should have noted down on there, I've used, because it's way too far from the surface to bring solar power down, I've done a thermopile down here for the bluetricity necessary needed for the frame motors. So this is a much more compact design than the one I'd used up in the computer area above. So this is a thermopile with one block of lava below it, followed by blocks of water on all four sides. So block of water there, there, there and there, and in this case actually also these two pointlessly, but each of these has 4 water source blocks next to it and 1 block of lava to make them work at maximum efficiency, so the frame motors are getting plenty of bluetricity needed. Created another 2 attack turtles. Now the idea of these is I want these patrolling the base, keeping a lookout for mobs, just in case there's any areas that I have failed to light up fully. These may bump into them and be able to kill them. They should have plenty of energy to be able to do all the moving around they need. I just need to get around to writing the programs now. The key bit to that program will need to be some degree of randomness so that they're wandering around, but also their ability to find their way back to a recharging station, to refuel themselves if necessary, and to not wander off outside of a certain range. So I've got the GPS set up. I can program them so that they periodically check back on that and also report back to the computer up there where they are. And if they ever fail to get a GPS signal, to undo the last few moves it's done to try to find their way back again. So we'll see how I get on with that. It's going to be quite an exercise. The other thing I think I might do with these attack turtles is I might want to create, just for fun, a mob arena whereby we pit turtles against mobs, and we set up a mob spawning area somewhere which would push all the mobs into an arena and then let loose the turtles to go around slaying them, a bit like a gladiator arena of old Roman times. Thought that might be fun, bit evil, but yeah, there we go. The other thing, I did go around after doing the Tekkit video saying how to improve the doors so that they stay open long enough. So they do get annoying doors in Minecraft where they don't stay open long enough for you to actually get through, particularly iron doors with a button. So all of the doors in the base now that are iron doors have a little bit of redstone behind them, which includes a state cell connected to whichever input it is to give a slightly longer opening time. So the initial signal comes from the door, and in this case goes around the redstone on the other side of the door, and then the state cell passes the input round this side and underneath to keep the doors open for longer. So this door works that way because it's an iron door, and also this door with a pressure plate gives you a nice long time to be open. And I have to be careful which ones around here I break, just to demonstrate this, because one of these blocks has that one has the redstone wire above it. So in this case the signal comes from there round to the state cell, which is on at this point to keep it open longer. So the initial signal goes around there and round the back to open the doors, and the other signal comes down here into the state cell, which is then on for a programmable length of time to keep the doors open a bit longer. Yeah, the other thing I've done is if I fly up here and through this door, oops, wrong side, now I should shut that just in case. The signal from this door opening, when I first set it up in my sandbox world, I couldn't attach a redstone torch to the frame, so I had to come up with an arrangement round here of a torch with a repeater going into a block, going into etc, etc. Yeah, I have to admit now that was because I didn't see the difference between cover blocks and panels at the time. And of course, if you attach a panel to a frame, you can then just put a redstone torch on it, and that provides a much simpler input into the signal there to tell the computer when the door is open. Extended from that, it would be trivial now to have a 16 position input with a different bundled cable coming in, so that not only could the computer tell when the door was fully open or fully closed, but exactly what stage along a 16-step movement it had actually reached. So I may look to implement that. It's not really necessary. I don't really even open this door ever. It was just a exercise for the sake of it. But yeah, I might look at implementing that just for the sake of it. And just a couple of other things to cover before I finish. So the storeroom down here, which I did cover in a previous video, yeah, even though I haven't even started piping things in yet, I decided these chests weren't going to cut it and I needed to upgrade them to diamond chests. And to do that, I created lots of the upgrades. So within the world here, I created lots of iron to gold upgrades and lots of gold to diamond chest upgrades on the basis of being able to go around here and just click on them and do the upgrades. Didn't go to plan. Every time I clicked any of these chests to do the upgrade, Minecraft crashed and I had to wait for it to restart. And although the upgrade did work, it was a pain. So I sort of cheated. I've tried to resist doing that. I've tried to keep this as legit playing as possible. But in this case, I cheated. I spawned in the requisite number of diamond chests that I'd created all the upgrades for and binned all the upgrades instead. So these, whilst they were spawned in, I did pay for them with the resources necessary to do the upgrades. I just didn't actually use all the upgrades after the first 2 or 3 attempts at upgrading the chests were causing the crashes. And having done all that, I don't like the look of them. So I don't know what to do now. Whether to go back to using these and just keep these diamond chests for something else, I'm not sure. But this look with the chests all side by side and having to then have the signs like this, it just looks ugly once you get a few of them. So yeah, more thought needed for that before I go any further. And just about the last thing is this doorway here where I put the nether portal. I decided it needed an on-off switch for the nether portal. There's lots of times that I'm not using the nether portal at all, and therefore I didn't want it active. So I've put in an igniter and a little bit of redstone so it just triggers it from the other side. So the idea being that if it's off, you can walk in and it will activate and take you to the nether. And then when you come out, you'll walk over the pressure plates again and turn it off. That's about it. I did have a glitch round here trying to get the upgraded creosote out of the coke ovens. On the previous version of Tekkit, these were produced automatically from the coal. So you would put coal in, you would get coal coke and creosote bottles out. In this updated version, you have to put glass bottles in order for it to put the creosote from the tank into something. Yeah, I didn't read the wiki. I assumed you'd need to pump it out into tanks, hence the holes underneath. So I spent a while building all the tanks and building all the waterproof wooden piping and the redstone engines and everything to do that. And then it all crashed in a heap when I tried to pump the coal out. And I had to actually use MC Edit to get the world working again. What's that noise? I keep hearing something burning. Something's burning around here and I don't know what it is. It's a little worrying, that is. I keep hearing a noise of something burning. It could be something underground. There is actually a cave system under it, which I've covered over. And there's a sheep trap down there somewhere that's been there since some of the very early bits that I did in this world. That I probably ought to go down there and rescue them. But yeah, stuff these down there. Yeah, so Buildcraft pipes, I think they are with coke ovens, not a good combination. But the worrying thing is, I tried a similar thing round here with pipes, taking things from the macerator out into the furnaces. I just plonked something together. I was macerating something, I can't remember quite what it was now, and I'd got lots of it to do, so I built a quick system, piped around. As soon as it started trying to pipe anything, Minecraft crashed again. And again, every time I tried to load the world, it crashed straight away, and I had to resort to MC Edit to repair the world in order to get back in. So I'm a little concerned that I have a complete glitch here with Buildcraft pipes that may crash every time I try to use them. Now, I haven't tried using any of this stuff on here for a while, but I'm a little worried that if and when I do, it'll all fall in a heap. So it could be one of those other things in this world that's causing problems and corruption and things, but we'll have to see how we get on. That's going to be it for this. As you'll have noticed, hopefully I've started the Feed the Beast series, and I'm playing that rather differently with a lot more actual recording whilst playing, as opposed to these sort of videos which I'm doing in Tekkit, which are more sort of play off camera and then run around telling you everything I've done. Don't know which people will prefer. I think I prefer the videos playing as you go along, but they're a lot more tricky to record and create. So we'll have to see how I get on with the Feed the Beast ones, and depending on the comments I get back on any videos, if any, and thanks for those extra subscribers I've had since the last post on the Feed the Beast forum. Welcome to you all. Hello, hello, hello. Hope you're still watching. We'll see how we get on. But for now, adios. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.